Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all, wherever you are in the world, whether you are watching live or whether you are watching on the replay. Yay, Rachel's here and Alan's here and Lily's here, and I think Teresa is still here. I'm not completely sure. Nice to see you all today. This is going to be a bit of a free-form rant about the subject of promises. This may be really short or it may get a bit long, but if you can't watch it all, don't worry about it, because this live will get posted in the Facebook group automatically as soon as it's finished, and you'll be able to come back and watch it later on. But the main point of coming on live with you today is to talk about promises. Now, when I originally thought of this subject, I thought to myself, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to people about how making promises to children and not keeping them is a horrible thing to do, about how making promises to your boss can just dig you into a really deep hole, and that's not a very nice place to be either. And also making promises to yourself and not keeping them is one of the hardest, most harmful things we do to ourselves. And then I thought, well, that's just going to be me telling you how not to do promises. But I'd rather, as you know, talk to you about, things that can actually really help you. Actual useful tools for you, or useful bits of information that maybe solve completely one teeny weeny little problem in your life. Yeah. The thought about this session came from when I was updating and reviewing my trauma-informed strategy document, which I do every month. Lovely to see you guys joining me live. And anyway, I was looking through that strategy document and thought to myself, there are promises that I make my clients that are part of my trauma-informed training that you guys might not even know about. But to start with, let's cover how making promises can be harmful for you, for yourself. Making promises is one of those things that people pleasers do so much. Hi, Tom. Because we say, yes, we'll do that. Yes, we'll do that. Yes, we'll do that. We take on more and more and more stuff until we are completely overcommitted. So one of the simple ways that you can stop overcommitting is not to actually promise that you will do the thing. That way, if it turns out that you can't, you're not breaking a promise to that boss, that child, that co-worker, or even to yourself. Yeah. That probably sounds a bit cynical, but say someone invites you out for lunch or invites you to an evening do and you say, oh, I'll try. Can't promise, but I'll try. If you try and you don't make it, then their expectations have been managed. Now, that's probably not an ideal way to be with your friends, but it works really great with bosses. When they say to you, I need this piece of work done by noon on Thursday, yeah, you can say to them, I cannot promise that, but I will try. Can you see how the same phrase in a different situation gives more power to your promises? Because when you promise, you mean it. And when you don't promise, you have another way to get through your day. Because the thing with promises, and literally I've just had this thought come into my head. That's probably why I'm stuttering. Back in the day when I was a stepmom, those kids had promises made to them by other people who, when they were broken, when those promises were broken, me and my husband had to pick up the pieces. upset kids who'd been promised maybe a particular birthday present or a particular outing. Yeah. And just to be completely clear, I am not saying who broke promises to my stepkids. Yeah. I call them my stepkids. They were the children of my husband. And I am not going to give you any clues as to who broke promises to them, because that's not right. If I wanted to have a go at those people, if I wanted to have a discussion with those people, then I would have done it beforehand. I didn't do it then, I'm not doing it now. Yeah. This is the whole protecting myself from the repercussions of somebody else breaking a promise to my stepchildren. All we did was manage the disappointment, comfort the disappointment, allow them to feel the disappointment. And I didn't understand how important it was until many years later. But allowing a child to feel disappointed when someone breaks a promise to them is a really good thing. But another promise that gets broken to us adults, just scaling down the list, yeah, all of you apart from 2 appear to be female. I have to say that these days, you know. I can't just say just because of the shape of your name or the letters in your name that you're male or female, but promises have been made to many human beings, mostly women, about diet plans. Yeah. This is going to be the last diet you have to follow. You're going to be able to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, and it's going to become a lifestyle, and it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. All of these promises, yeah, that are made by other people. What happens when those promises are not fulfilled? They get turned around on you so that you didn't commit to the lifestyle. You didn't follow the diet correctly. It's you who failed, not the diet. We haven't failed in delivering our promises to you. You must have done it wrong. So even when a promise is made publicly to thousands of people at a time that this diet plan is going to work, when it doesn't, whose fault is it? It's not theirs. It's yours for not doing it right. I've now got in front of me a blog entry that I did. Oh, when was it? Oh, crikey, that's flipping two years ago. On the 18th of March, 2022, I made a blog post called My Commitment to My Clients. And I'd like to read a little bit from it. I'm not going to read that paragraph because it starts at the time of writing, so that's not relevant. Okay. There is so much I could say here, but really there's only one way to know if working with me is the best thing for you. And that is to talk to me honestly. So start a chat here. I'm not the person to work with if you are expecting me to hand you answers on a plate. I will work with you to find the answers that lay within you. If you think that you need a meal plan or an exercise chart to follow, your body knows best. So I can teach you how to hear your body sensations as a true expression of your body's needs. 3, I'm not the person to work with if you are not prepared to listen to the possibility that the food and diet industries have taken away the trust that you should have in yourself. Together, we will find a way for you to trust your body. Yeah. When I wrote this in 2022, I had been working almost exclusively with women with eating disorders. And it was around about this time, March 22, that I realized that working with women with eating disorders wasn't the focus that I wanted. Because the problem was that these women with eating disorders they didn't have eating disorders because of something wrong that they'd done. These situations had been created in them by layers of trauma and layers of broken promises. So it was around about this time that I started to talk to people with trauma responses, because it's the trauma response that creates an unbalanced, untruthful relationship between you, your body, and food. This blog post goes on to say, I may be the person to work with if you want to get all of my knowledge from the last 30 odd years of struggle compressed into only a few months and tailored to meet your personal needs. If you appreciate that transformation takes effort and may involve you letting go of some beliefs that have seemed so sure and steady to you. Or if you are willing to invest money and time to give yourself and your life, I read that wrong, to give yourself the life you truly deserve. Yeah. And then at the bottom of that blog post, I take an extract from that document I referred to earlier, my trauma-informed coaching. Start again. It's an extract from my trauma-informed coaching and breathwork strategy document, which is a document that I have to keep up to date in order to keep my trauma-informed coaching badge, which comes from the two in the middle, the two white ones in the middle. So I'm going to read this to you now. My commitment to trauma-informed coaching and breathwork is one of respect, safety, compassion, empowerment, education, and support. This means that I will never push a client without their consent and will remind them that they can withdraw that consent at any time. That I will always promote and hold the client's vision of safety. That I will never share my personal experience without consent. That I will meet a client where they are and listen to what they tell me verbally and energetically with care and consideration, never judgment. That I will value a client's strengths and views. That I will teach and embody, remaining as resourced as possible. This will enable the client and myself to build resilience and resistance to re-traumatization. That I will respect and consider race, religion, identity, and history. That I will reflect back to my clients the best version of themselves, mirroring all that they truly are and that they could be. That I will research and continue to learn and read. I will never pretend to know about an issue or a subject when I don't. That I will review and revisit all of my trauma track training to ensure that I do not lose connection to the important concepts therein. And that I will always support and cheer on my clients and my peers and myself, never judging the choices we all make. That commitment is a promise that I made all of my clients, my current clients, my past clients, and my future clients. And I made that promise, that extract, back in March 22. And that part of my coaching strategy document remains almost unchanged. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to be looking over there because that's where the chat will pop up. I'm going to ask you to put a 1 if you have ever had a promise broken to you that really, 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 really hurt. Yeah. And put a 2 if you have ever had to break a... That was Zoom. Zoom did that. This makes balloons happen, right? This makes streamers happen, yeah? So put a 1 in the chat if you've ever had a promise broken to you, or a promise made to you that was broken and it hurt. And put a 2 in the chat if you have ever had to break a promise. Let's see how many of you are going to be honest with your own promises. I mean, that's a 1 if someone has broken a promise to you and it really hurt. Or 2 if you have broken a promise. Yeah, you see, people are being honest. I like this. Yeah. Having a promise made to you and then having it broken is nasty. But what does it teach you? It teaches you that you can be resilient, even when a promise is broken to you. So 2, if you've had to break a promise, and I'm going to tell you something now that is probably going to sound really self-righteous, but it was a promise that I made to me that then got passed on to those stepkids. Because there were people in their lives that were making promises to them and then not keeping those promises. And my husband and I were having to sort of pick up the pieces from those broken promises. I made a promise initially to myself. And that promise was that I would never promise something unless I had every intention of keeping that promise. And I can honestly say, hand on my heart, I swear that I only broke 1 promise to those kids. And because it was so rare, they probably don't even remember. But yes, I broke a promise to them. I promised to take them out one weekend and I couldn't do it because I twisted my knee and it swelled up like a football. I couldn't drive. I couldn't find anyone else to drive us. So I couldn't take them out that weekend. And it sounds, I know, it sounds like, like I never broke a promise to them. But the truth is that I didn't make a lot of promises to them. I said a lot of, yes, we can do that if everything works out okay, or maybe we could do that, or yeah, at some point during the summer holidays, we'll do that thing. Yeah. That's what I did instead of promising. And again, it's not because I'm some kind of flipping superhuman, wonderful human being, right? It's because I know how hurtful a broken promise can be. And you guys feel it too. You've had promises broken to you and it's hurt. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you do promise something, really understand that the pain that you have felt having a promise broken is the same kind of hurt that you're going to give someone if you break that promise. So talk to your kids and your boss and yourself with a bit of honesty, kindness, and consideration. Only promise things that you know you're going to move hell and high water to do. Because then your promise, not only to your kids, but your promise is going to mean something. And to the people who constantly broke promises to my children, my stepkids, I doubt very much that you will ever see this video, but if you do, you know who you are. Yeah? Those kids have grown up with a distorted understanding of what a promise really is. Yeah? My husband and I did our level best to teach those kids what a promise was, what it meant, how important it was to live by your word. Yeah. We tried really hard. But when those kids had promises broken, that has changed the way that they hear the word. So yeah, that's my little rant on a Thursday about when to make a promise and when not to, and why to make promises and why not to. Has anybody watching, over to you, have you got any questions? And while, just in case you're taking a while to type out a really long question, I'll carry on talking for a minute. The one thing that we've not really covered so far is promises to yourself. Making a promise to yourself needs to be something unwavering, something unrockable. Because if your promises to yourself are not kept, how are you going to keep a promise to anybody else? How are those other people ever going to know what your promise means if you don't keep a promise to yourself? When you guys, a couple of you have already, a couple of those people watching have already done some work with me. Some of you haven't. But when you're part of the community that I'm currently building, one of the expectations will be around promises and about commitment. And it's not like commitment to a program, yeah? It's going to be commitment to yourself. Yeah, no questions? Okay, well, if there are no questions live, that doesn't mean you can't ask a question. If you've got a question, drop it down in the comments. If you see this video anywhere other than live in the Facebook group, there should be somewhere around it a way for you to get in contact with me. If you are listening to these words on a podcast, you can also drop questions in there. Oh, we have a question. What factors do you believe contribute to one's ability to keep their promises? Again, this is a perception question and it's a perception answer. Right? If a promise means nothing to you because you have had promises broken all your life, then making a promise to someone else is probably not going to mean a lot. But if you've been brought up, raised in an environment where a promise was never broken, then a promise is going to mean a lot more when you give it. See what I mean? What factors do you believe contribute to one's ability to keep their promises? Yeah. So yeah, the first main factor then is going to be your relationship with the word. Yeah. Your relationship with the word promise and what a promise actually means to you. If that word was used flippantly as you grew up, like, yeah, promise, then it's not going to mean as much to you when you come to give a promise. I know people all around my sort of age group who are married, for instance. I know a lot of married couples. Now, let me tell you something about married couples. There are some married couples for whom the vows they took in sickness and in health are more than a promise. They are vows. The relationship that people have with each other when it's based on the vows of marriage can, in one partner's head, mean very little, Oh, marriage is just a piece of paper, who cares? Yeah. Or for someone else who's been brought up in, for instance, Catholicism has a really, really strong way of teaching about promises and vows. As Christina goes on to say, also, what comes to mind is follow through and consistency. Yeah, and but I do think that follow through is important. I do think that consistency is important, but it comes from the meaning of the word. And we're not talking about meaning in a dictionary, we're talking about the emotional meaning of the word. Yeah. Which is often where your body comes in, because a word or a sound can trigger a reaction in your body that might not make a lot of sense. Okay, I think that's all we're getting in the way of questions. So it's been nice chatting with you. Been nice talking about this subject. If you've got a subject that you want me to cover, if you've got a particular thing that you want me to talk about, or even if it's just something that you want to know my opinion on, even if you're just being nosy, yeah, just ask me. I'm game. If you want to know just how game I am, go to my profile on Facebook. You'll see a video in there which ends with the phrase, ask me anything. And I'm not kidding. You can literally ask me anything. Okay. When I posted that video on Instagram, I was feeling a little bit mischievous. And I put in the caption, ask me anything, don't make me dare you. Just because I thought it might get someone to ask me something. Anyway, I am now officially waffling. So I shall say bye-bye for now. Be careful out there. And I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.